Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jayo Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Gauranita Jayo Gauranita Jayo Gauranita Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna Vanchakalpadurvyasya Kripaha Sindhubhya Vicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So happy to be amongst all of you in this wonderful upcoming temple of ISKCON Austin, Sound Rock, Round Rock. And I'm very happy to meet my old friend Prabhuji, Gopal Chandra Prabhu. So I'm indebted to be here and getting your association and also very happy to. This is a wonderful weather today as well. So we can discuss a few things about reflect a few thoughts on this the current long weekend, which is focused on Thanksgiving, right? And I think the topic Prabhuji gave me was expressing gratitude. This is a very important topic. So just my few thoughts I would reflect, and I'll open to all the devotees to chime in, to give their ideas and comments. So before, just start with the prayer to the Guru Parampara and everybody else. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripātamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanyamishwaram. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Om Tat Sat. So the modern civilization, especially as the days progress in Kali Yuga, so we see the good values coming down rapidly, and the prevalent philosophy, a prevalent thought process, it matches with one of the philosophers in the Vedic times. So his name was Charvaka. So he says that Ranam Kritva Gritam Pribet Yavat Jivet Sukham Jivet Ehi Dehasya Bhutasya Punar Avartanam Katam Bhavet. So very pertinent point that he's making. He says that Yavat Jivet Sukham Jivet. So however long we live, doesn't matter. So but we have to live happily, as best as possible, enjoy this world. And then just to substantiate that, so he's saying that Ranam Kritva Gritam Pipet. So even if you have to take debt, or in other words, credit card, right? In today's world. So take it, use it, and be happy. And don't worry about the next day. And as long as you live, continue to do that. Because there's no guarantee of anything like next life. So don't have to worry about that. Just continue to live and enjoy. That is the pertinent philosophy. Although people may not acknowledge, but that's the thought process that everybody has. So live happily. Doesn't matter how we live. Whether there are any principles behind it, doesn't matter. And this is even more accelerated in third world countries. So like in India, many third world countries where there is no proper framework of rule of law, so it becomes even more amplified and more easily visible. So you see those who are supposed to be protectors, so they themselves become the exploiters. Right? So this is that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 12th canto, very beautifully it summarizes. So there's a saying in Tamil also, so there is just like a fence, feeds the field. So the fence is supposed to protect the field. What happens if the fence itself feeds on the field? So that's what is that happens. And it's the progress of Kali Yuga. Because there's a prevalent thought process is this. This is the cause for the robberies and rapes and whatnot. Everything that we see is more amplified in third world countries, and it is catching up in other parts. And it's because there is so much of an belief that one has to enjoy by hook or crook, doesn't matter. So there are still some people who have some principles, some the what we can call as ethos or ethics or morality. These are the words we still hear. That's because the Kali Yuga has not progressed that much. And it has been definitely slowed down by the progress of the Krishna consciousness movement. So Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope. Srila Prabhupada said when he came to the Western world, that the world is going towards complete chaos. It's going to be complete destruction, and it will be complete chaos. So the only hope is the Hare Krishna movement, and it has been definitely reduced and slowed down by the Hare Krishna movement, and but it is not over yet. And because it is the will of Krishna that in Kali Yuga will be like this, and it will progress towards complete destruction. That's a writ. It's written. It's already predicted in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is how it's going to be. And so that we can already see that very well. All indications that this is all going to come and happen very soon. So, how is this important in Thanksgiving? Speaking about Kali Yuga, Srimad Bhagavatam also says this. And when Parikshit Maharaj meets the personality of Kali, so he designates 4 places. And Parikshit Maharaj also says, so these are the places where the Dharma is not followed. So you can be there in those 4 places. He was of the impression, coming from the Dwapara Yuga, he wasn't fully aware of the Kali Yuga is on the horizon. So he gave a place, thinking that this place won't be there. But there are already signs of Kali Yuga. So it is said as soon as Lord Krishna left this planet, Kali Yuga started. And that's why we see Kali coming right in front of Maharaj Parikshit. But Maharaj Parikshit was not fully aware of his power, his potency. So he gave him 4 places. Those 4 places are where these 4 pillars of religion are being not followed. So these 4 pillars of religion becomes very important. So satyam, saucham, shama, and tapaha. These are the 4 pillars of religion. Satyam is truthfulness, and saucham is cleanliness. Shama means the mercy, and tapaha means austerity. So these 4 principles are the pillars of religion, and they are the stambha. Dharmasya stambha ethe. Srimad Bhagavatam says, and also Vishnu Dharmottara Puran, it also says this. These are the 4 pillars of religion. And we also know that as the age progresses from the golden to silver, silver to bronze, bronze to iron age, then we see this slow and steady destruction, degradation of these values of dharma. And so almost 75% will be reduced in the dawn of the Kali Yuga. And as Kali Yuga progresses, even those 25% will be slowly gnawed away. And what will be left with is complete immorality and complete hedonistic thought process. That's very well summarized by Charvaka. Just saw that. So, and it is said that the satyam is what is first said. Satyam is generally understood as truth. Right? So, speaking of truth, is very, very important. So what does this truth here in this context means is that you somebody says something, gives a promise to somebody, and they don't follow it. So that is the truth that we've been speaking about. So obviously, speaking truth means speaking about Krishna. He is absolute truth, supreme absolute truth. And anything that which is any word that doesn't talk about the supreme absolute truth is not false. It is definitely false. It's not truth. So going by that standards, so what people speak for most of the time is already falsehood. So that is not the truth that we're speaking about. So here the truth means the word that is given. The word that is given is held, is very, very considered very, very important. So it includes even some robbers. They're discussing, okay, after we do the robbery, how are we going to separate out the booty? How are we going to share the booty? So that is a word that is given by the leader of the dacoits, let's say. And he also needs to follow that. So if he doesn't follow that, that is definitely not truth. So actually the truth means that, and the truth of not keeping the word. So this is given very high importance, because in already see there are signs of in Kali Yuga, all the other pillars of religion, it's already dwindling, right? So we already see intoxication taking a lot of predominance. There is already flash boats and everywhere, which is signifying and glorifying, inviting everybody to be part of the intoxicants, taking intoxication, and either the government fully kind of promotes it, or it's done under the table. So this is ongoing for many, many, many years. And then talking about the adultery, so that's also already ongoing, and it's also being promoted by government sometimes. And talk about the killing of animals, that's also has been in progress for many, many, many generations and many, many yugas, right? So what remains a little bit is the word, the given word. So are we able to keep it? So that is a very, very important thing. And so the prediction is that as the Kali Yuga progresses, so this word also will not be kept. So there'll be no value of any promise or any truth. So parents won't be taking care of children, the children won't be taking care of the parents in their old age. They'll just be discarding them, leaving them in the streets. Or the kings or the politicians, they never keep their promise. So that is already known. They come during the elections, they promise so and so different things, and then they finally don't keep the promise. And that everybody has accepted. This is the truth. And then we see different other things, the media, the cinemas, the all other different things promoting adultery, and there is intoxication is also very highly promoted. So this is definitely happening. So, but the word is still there. There is still some relevance, still some semblance of the importance of giving a word. So, and that is the last pillar, and that will also be slowly, it is getting destroyed. And that's what we are saying here. And why is this relevant in this context of Thanksgiving? Because Thanksgiving means expressing gratitude. And you are expressing gratitude for something somebody had done, either with some expectation or without some expectation. And it is also important that we keep that expectation, we live up to that expectations. And that is why it becomes very important to understand this important point of satyam, how this is very, very important. So the word for gratitude in the Sanskrit is called as kritagyata. So kritagya means one being very, very thankful or grateful whatever somebody has done. It means the children being grateful to the parents for giving birth and raising them, educating them, or it could be the rulers or the politicians being grateful to the public who have given him the opportunity to serve the public. So it's everything, right? And so the Kritagnyata is given a lot of importance. So in fact, it is said that in different Puranas, it's said that Kritagyanam Mahapatakam Dushitam Marha. If somebody is not keeping the word, then it is the greatest it is the greatest pathway to hell, and it is definitely punishable. And second, in the Kishkinta Khanda, the Ramayana, we see Kritagye nasti nishkritihi. So, in the context of the Lakshmana goes to see Sugriva. Sugriva is Lord Rama kills Vali, and he gives the kingdom back to Sugriva. And Sugriva is completely taken over by a new situation of he's being crowned as a king, and he completely forgets his promise that he would help him in the battle with Ravana. So then Lakshmana, he goes to him, and then he reminds him, see, there is the importance of giving a word. Lord Rama kept the word, and it is your turn to keep the word. So Kritagnyata is very, very important, expressing gratitude. So in this world, all the transactions, business or otherwise, it all happens to some extent, with some belief, with some trust in somebody else. And that's very, very important to keep the trust. So otherwise it will be complete failure of humankind. So that's even Lord Rama, when he comes in this human form, so he gives the highest importance to this. The word that is given by anyone in the Ikshvaku dynasty will always be kept. So there'll be no opportunity of anybody letting that word go. So in this case, Dasharatha had given a word to his wife that he would fulfill 2 promises. But then Dasharatha becomes hesitant, and he even doesn't want to reveal it to Ram. The Lord Rama comes to know about this, and his mother Kaikeyi was very happy to tell that to him. And since it was not the word of his father, he could have said, no, he's not told me, I'm not going to follow this, or this is something that was given very early, and this is not relevant in the situation. He could have built up some different argument and get past that. It was not difficult for him. He had the support of the public, could have overthrown, he could have done different things. But Lord Rama, he gave utmost importance to the word that his father had given to his mother. And so he decided to walk out and then decided to go to the forest. So that's very, very important. And that's so there's a popular saying, the word of Lord Ram and the arrow of Lord Ram never misses the target. So like that, so there's a lot of importance that is given. And even Lord Krishna is very popular for telling lies, like stealing butter and different things, and which a lot of people think it is not correct or whatever. So especially Christians, they would like to point out some mistake or something, find fault. So they will use these things. Lord Krishna also attaches a lot of importance to this Kritagnyata. And he, for example, Sudama, it's a very good example how Sudama was his friend. And when he comes and he runs and he goes and gives the utmost importance to Sudama. He makes him sit on his throne, washes his feet, and then does everything possible. And because not just he's a friend, he's a Brahmana, so he wants to give that importance. And he himself follows all the traditions, whatever he spoke in the Vedas. And in one angle, whatever Krishna did, there's absolutely nothing wrong, whatever he did. So that is the correct understanding of someone who is knowledgeable. And so Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita that Yad yad acharati shresha saddad evataro janah. So yad pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. So he knows the importance of keeping the word. He knows the importance of following dharma. There is no question of Krishna not following dharma. And coming back to the topic, so this has been illustrated time and again. And we see from Srimad Bhagavatam of the so many wonderful stories of Maharaj Harishchandra, for example, how he was ready to forsake his family just because he gave a word. And Maharaj Sibi, so he was ready to cut his flesh in order to, because he gave a word to the bird that he would save it from the eagle. He was ready to cut all his flesh from his body to the compared to the weight of that the bird. But finally, it was the demigods who came to test him. And so, like this, Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of words of kritagnyata, of gratefulness, of the importance of keeping the word. So this is a very, very important point. Even it is said in the Puranas, Mother Earth says that I can tolerate anything, I can tolerate any mistakes done by people, but I can never tolerate somebody who is not speaking the truth. So that is a very, very important point to understand. So that is it is completely taken to be the most important thing. The word dharma, in fact, one of the words that's interpreted with Jiva Goswami is that ma dharanam. Ma means the word. So keeping the word, or keeping the word that was given to others is dharma. That is the one definition, one perspective of the word dharma. So this is illustrated time and again in all the different Puranas and Upanishads and all the stories. So that is the only thing that is the most important thing from dharma point of view. So going back to the topic of this, the importance of keeping the word. So that is how I take it here in this context of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving means being grateful for not just for people who have done directly, but also indirectly. So we have been helped in many ways, in material way or in spiritual way. And material way is also, we have great amount of gratitude that we have to give it to our parents because they have brought us up, they have given us education, they have toiled hard to raise us up and then give this an opportunity to thrive in this material world, which is full of challenges, full of different different dangers, right? So that is why that is given a lot of importance to Upanishads also. That Matru Devo Bhava and Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. So should think them like God, Father, Mother, and Guru. So they need to be taken as good as God or to be respected as God. They're not necessarily gods, but they need to be respected as God. This is very, very important. Gratitude is very important. In fact, we were reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we were reading the 13th chapter a few days back. So there, Lord Brahma is creating. So Vidura is asking Maitreya, how did this creation happen? And Maitreya is explaining the whole creation process, how Lord Brahma came from the navel of Vishnu, and how he starts the creation process, bringing forth different living entities. So the first, the sons that he creates from his intelligence is this four Kumaras. The four Kumaras, they are taken born, and once they are born, they're already like a grown up to be 5-year-old, and but they have, since they are born from the intelligence of Lord Brahma, so they had a complete understanding of this ways of this material world, the frailties of the material world, how not to become trapped by the illusory potency of God. So they were extremely cautious and extremely, so they wanted to be completely aloof from the material activities. And but although it was right from a spiritual sense, Lord Brahma was extremely disappointed, and because it was his first endeavor to start the creation process, and that also met with failure. So becomes very angry, and he from the anger comes Lord Shiva, Rudra. So we know that story. And after creating the rishis and things, then he creates the Manu. So Manu is the one, is a very, very important position because Manu is the father of mankind. So he's going to bring forth the entire human population, and human population who thrive on the earth planet is very, very important for the entire Brahmanda system, because they do yajnas, and the yajnas will give the nourishment to the demigods, and that's also a launch pad for everybody to rise up or go down. So the welfare of the humans is given utmost importance in the entire scheme of creation. So demigods have a lot of interest in it, and Lord Brahma also was very much desiring that Manu doesn't fail him, just like how Lord Kumaras failed him. And so Manu also, as soon as he is born, so then he, of course, is already born and grown up, and he's asking his father. There are 3-4 verses where he asks Lord Brahma, "Oh my dear Lord Brahma, so you are my father, and I'm indebted to you for whatever you have done to me. And I'm extremely grateful to you. I'm very thankful to you. And I know my only duty is to serve you. Only duty is to do what you tell me. And so please instruct me in what I should be doing." So then Lord Brahma says that this is a very important thing for everybody to know, that one should be grateful, thankful for what has been done and what will be done. And they need to keep the word. And that's very nicely reflected in 2 to 3 verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 13th chapter. You can see. And he's very pleased with Manu. And then he tells him that your grandson will be Supreme Personality of Godhead. So like that. So so it's very, very important to keep the word. It's very important to be thankful and grateful. So we see that in the Puranas also, places. So coming back to this the topic of this, around this Thanksgiving. Although this Thanksgiving is a mundane festival, but it helps us to reflect on this important quality of gratitude and being grateful. And on Thanksgiving, so in any festival, there is always the 3 aspects of it. So one is what is the occasion, and other is what is the so what is the occasion, how it is expressed, the expression, and what is the most important thing is what is the intention. These 3 things are extremely important to understand. So the occasion in this Thanksgiving might be very mundane. It's something to do with the Catholics. They are being very oppressive to the Protestants. The Protestants, they all run away from the tyranny of the oppression of the Catholics. They come to different places like America, and they are thankful that they got a new place. They're able to live in a new place. So it's actually mostly an American tradition. And and of course, what they did to Native Americans is again a questionable thing. So they never kept their word to them. So they always treated them very badly. They were oppressed a lot. And so it's all this, the things surrounding this whole thing isn't very shrouded with a lot of gray area. So, and other thing was the expression is also very disgusting. So how do they express Thanksgiving? So we know that they cut an animal, right? And then how does that in any way expresses thanks? So this is a very, very interesting point. And so in Christian thought process, so they quote this verse from the Bible that God has given the dominion over all the animals to humans. So they can eat them if they like, nothing wrong in it, because it is is authorized by the Bible, different things. But you can easily ask a counter question to them. The God has given you dominion over the animals, so He has also given dominion over your children and so many dependents like that. So why don't we kill them and why don't we eat them? So this is a very the fallacy is very shallow, and it is it is very the way that's being expressed, that this whole celebration is extremely disgusting. And so that's also bad. So the intention is something that what we should take. Intention of Thanksgiving is something very important. So we need to have gratitude, and we need to have be very thankful to whatever good things that we got from everybody else, both material and spiritual. And that's very important. It's given a lot of importance in the Puranas, but the Supreme Lord Himself, when He advanced in this material world, and He expects us to also do that. So we have seen that all throughout this discussion, what is the importance of this keeping the word and being expressing gratitude. So coming back to our practical life, practical life also. So it is Prabhupada very beautifully summarizes that in the Bhagavad Gita, the purport to the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So there is 2 verses in Bhagavad Gita. That third chapter, the first and second verse, I believe. So Krishna says that He has brought forth all the demigods and the humans and everybody, and how they need to cooperate with each other, and that the humans need to do yajna, and that will please the demigods. The demigods will give all the things necessary for living happily in this material world. So he expresses that very nicely. And Prabhupada also comments there that this is a very important thing, to perform yajna and to express gratitude for what everybody else is doing. And he's quoting this very beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So it says, this is actually 11th canto, discussion with Maharaj Nimi and the Navayogendras. So, Devarshi Bhuthapta Nranam Kinkaram Narinicha Rajan Sarvatma Yah Sharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parihatya Kartam. So it's a very beautiful verse. So Yaha means whoever is Gato Mukundam Sharanyam, so whoever has taken shelter of Mukunda, then for them, I am for them, Na I am for them, that is what they don't have. They don't have Rini. Rini means debt. They don't have Rini towards these 5 important people. So what are these 5 important people? Deva, demigods, Rishi, sages, and Bhutapta, means all the living entities who have helped us thrive in this world. And Nrinam, the society of human. Pitranam, forefathers. And Kinkara means kinsmen, our relatives and others. So all these 5 different category of peoples, we have debt from the time of our birth. So we keep accumulating the debt. And this debt is expressed, or it is executed by performance of yajna. It's called Pancha Mahayajna. So we are indebted towards Devas for giving us light, for giving us air, for giving us water, and all the necessities of life. We are indebted to the Rishis for giving us Shastras, for giving us knowledge, and all the important things on how we can thrive in this world. We are indebted to the Bhutha, other living entities, because they give us so many things. We get milk from the cow, and we take so much service from other animals and other living entities. And also, Nrinam, or the society. The society also is, we are extremely indebted. So we drive on the roads, so many things, facilities that we make use of. So all of this we have to repay. Mostly we do that by paying tax. But what about the others? The Deva, Rishi, Bhutaptanana, Pitranam, Prahlad. So Pitranam, forefathers, why it's important for us? Because they give us this foundation. They give us this basic, important building blocks of life. They give us the body and give us the initial education. They are gurus in one sense. So we are indebted to them also. So this debt is so much that one can keep doing this throughout the day and still not be able to pay this debt. That's the situation. That much debt we have to be able to live in this world. We are so much, we have taken from so many people. So that is why this Pancha Mahayagya is prescribed. And so a Brahmana needs to do all these things. Kshatriyas needs to do by supporting the Brahmanas. Vaishyas need to do by giving taxes. Shudras needs to do by supporting all the other Varnas. So all these things is very nicely and scientifically organized. This whole Varnashrama system by with this basis of this Pancha Mahayagya. And hardly we are able to do anything in this Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, absolutely, nobody has any time, and even if there is time, it is taken over by television, or it's taken over by socialization or social media. All these things are grabbing our time. It is fighting for our time. So where are we going to get time for doing this yagya process? There's no question of doing any of these things. So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says, then you have to surrender to Krishna. And that's the only way you can be exempted from this debt. This debt is building up, building up, building up, and it will transform into sin. And that sin will be, there's no way we can, since we have not done this Panchamahayagya for so much of our lifetime, and that sin will become like a big, big mountain of sins. And we will not deserve a human birth next lifetime because we did not do any of these things. So automatically we are disqualified for getting human birth. So, but only practical thing that can be done in this situation is we take up to this Krishna consciousness and we follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga as enshrined by Srila Prabhupada in his books and in this moment, and follow sincerely and do the best effort, put the best effort with our best efforts. We can see if we can try to please the four fathers, the spiritual masters, the gurus, the acharyas in this line. And that is only way we can repay the debt. Because any service that is done to Krishna, it is service to everybody else. So, because he is the root of this entire creation. So just like the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam also says that Etva taror mula nischalanena. So if you water the root, then it is nourishing the entire tree. Or if you feed the stomach, it nourishes the entire body. So similarly, doing Krishna consciousness is the best way we can thank everybody and for anyone who has helped us in the past, in the present, and the future. That's the only way. And we can repay the debt and say thanks to anyone and everyone. So there is no other way. That doesn't mean we need to be unmindful of what we need to practically do to other people. So if we're given a word, definitely we need to keep the word. And there is no question of, oh, I'm doing chanting Hare Krishna, or I'm doing devotional service. That means I can do what I like in other things. So that is definitely not at all acceptable. A devotee is first a gentleman. He needs to be following the basics as enshrined in the Vedas, in the Puranas, taught in the Varnashrama system. So that is very, very important. That's what makes us a sane human being. First, we need to become a proper human before we become a devotee. So that is all there in the Krishna consciousness movement. So there is charity, and there is education, and there is a way to do social service. It's all completely laid out by Srila Prabhupada. So all we need to do is to keep and stick to the basics and continue to do what we're doing. Very happy to be here. It's a very wonderful effort by devotees trying to make this a center to do the needful, to bring out this Krishna consciousness and let people in this area also learn about this and practice Krishna consciousness. And very glad to be here. With this a little short note, I would like to open this up for any comments, questions, devotees.
Are there any questions, devotees, or if you like to share your thoughts or reflections, please do so now.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. I really like the point you said that how much we have taken, the services we have taken from everyone around us, from so many people in our lives, including the demigod. We never realized that actually. It really hit me hard at this point. And then you mentioned about the Panchayajna. Is it the Panchajanya Yajna?
Panchamahayagya.
And you said it is from Srimad Bhagavatam?
Srimad Bhagavatam hints at it, but it is there in a Varnashrama system.
I see, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mata.
There is a question in the back.
Excuse me for asking some stupid question, because my knowledge in Srimad Bhagavatam is very poor. But if I may something about Bhishma expressing gratitude to Duryodhanas and fighting against Pandavas, you mentioned about satyam, truthfulness. Here, truthfulness and gratitude, they clash. If I understand correctly, as I said outside, that my knowledge of Bhagavatam is poor, I apologize if it doesn't make sense. So will you clarify why is it clashing with Satyam?
It's a very, very nice question. Thank you for the question. So if I understand, let me reiterate in my own words. So question is why, coming specifically to Bhishma, so why he feels indebted to Duryodhana. Why not he support the Pandavas? Because that's a just war, to be supporting the Pandavas. This is just side upon the side of Dharma. So why is he siding with Duryodhana? Is that the question?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so it's a very, very deep question. So Bhishma is not an ordinary person. So Bhishma is considered as one of the Mahajan. And he has given the word to his father, Shantanu, that he would always stand by the throne and he would always guard the throne. And he would not take up to the throne by himself. And so that's the word that is given to his mother Satyavati and also his father Shantanu. And he's very much abides by that. And even if it means if the ruler is not qualified, the ruler is not up to his expectations, he still feels that he needs to follow that principle of the word, giving the word. That's it's a very good question. So is Bhishma really needs to do that, or he he should have taken the other way. And so the Bhishma's thought process is that the word Bhishma means it's very strong. It's like Dhruva, it's a very strong word. So he had, because he is actually the son of um, Ganga and the Vasus. So actually, he is one of the Vasus and he's reincarnating as Bhishma. And he has an utmost importance. And because he's also representing a demigod, so he, in the materialistic sense, he has to upkeep that highest principle of keeping the word. And so, although it is understood by great sages and great devotees, the highest dharma is Savaipum Sa Paro Dharmo, Yatho Bhakti Radokshaje, Ahaituki Pratihata. So, that is the highest principle. Highest principle is to fulfill the desires of this Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Lord Krishna, Bhishma Dev had the sanction of Krishna at least to fight in the war on the other side. Krishna did not request him to fight on the war from Pandava's side. So if you might notice in the Mahabharata, Krishna did request Karna to see if he come over to this side. Why don't you fight along with your brothers? But Karna refused because his principle was that he would be the other side, and he would be he is grateful and has gratitude towards Duryodhana because he supported him at the time of need. He gave him at the time of need, making him an Kshatriya by giving this Anga Adesh. So he felt that was his correct approach towards dharma. But Bhishma is not like that. So Bhishma is much a greater person than Karna. And being a demigod himself and also being a great devotee of Krishna, one of the Mahajans. So Lord Krishna did want to see him fight against him. And Bhishma in fact promised that I will make you lift the weapon. Promised to Krishna, I will fight in such a way, I will make you lift the weapon. So he did make Krishna lift the weapon. So that is the rasa between Bhishma and Lord Krishna. That even goes on in the other world, in the spiritual world. That Bhishma has a place and where he fulfills the desire of Krishna by fighting against him. So that is his desire. So Lord Bhishma definitely had his blessings from Krishna in doing what he was doing. Otherwise, he would not have done that because he's a Mahajan. Mahajana Enagata Sapanta. So, does it answer your question, Prabhuji?
I'm sorry, if we can take another question, can I go ahead?
Please.
In the mundane sense, when we talk about gratefulness, expressing our gratefulness, we receive help from someone, some individual. I'm talking in the mundane sense. And we should be grateful to that individual. But in the strict sense, that help, where does it originate? It's not from the individual. It originates from Lord Krishna. So, strictly speaking, should we be grateful to the individual or to Lord?
That's a very tricky question. So, it's a very nice point that you're bringing up. That yes, everybody is an agent or an instrument. And usually they are agents and instruments of the three modes of material nature. So they are acting under their own different modes. And so when you act like that, and sometimes people in the mode of goodness, they help others. They help others in the time of need. So they build hospitals, they build orphanages, they do free food distribution, so on and so forth. And education, free education, and other things. So that is definitely a very valuable service to the society, there's no doubt. And even somebody helps individually to us, for example. So we have to be grateful for them. And the best way we can express our gratitude is see if we can give them an introduction to Krishna consciousness. That's the best social service you can do to the world and also to the individual person. And yes, by seeing them as an, yes, they are able to do that because Krishna is giving them the ability to do, is a good way to look at it. Krishna says that I am the ability in man. But that doesn't mean that exempts us from what we need to do to repay that gratitude, right? So we still are indebted to them because we took help from them. Whether we asked them help or whether we took help voluntarily, they gave it to us. So we still duty bound to repay that back. Otherwise, that just becomes an debit in your good balance, in your karma balance. So we enjoy the help of others is a debit in our good karma balance. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. But if you repay back, then it's cancelled. So if you give them back what they gave it to us at time of need, and we give it back to them, that is cancelled. But if we don't give it back to them, especially if they're expecting us to give back, then that is a bad karma, or it's a debit in our good karma, and that is not welcome, right? So definitely. And the best thing is to do Krishna consciousness. But if the person is not wanting Krishna, let's say if somebody gives us $1,000 and then we say, I'm giving you Bhagavad Gita. Read this Bhagavad Gita and your life is perfect. Forget about the $1,000. That is not acceptable, right? So we need to be truthful as a gentleman, as a devotee. So we need to be truthful, abiding by the what is the expectation. And on the top of it, if you can give something, then Krishna conscious, and that is welcome. That will be a very, very appreciated. But it doesn't, what do you call it, doesn't obliterate us from doing our duty, repaying what is expected. I hope I answered your question, bro.
Thank you very much for those beautiful questions and excellent answers, Prabhuji. Just one last question from anyone? It's a question.
Prabhuji, thank you for a nice talk. I have a question. You referred to chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna tells the